Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings has a wild card round slate for Saturday. Also a wild card round slate for Sunday. That'll be in a separate first look video. We're going to break down these 3 Saturday games. I really wish that there was a 6-game slate. It would just make for better football, but I totally understand why they break it down into a 3-game slate on Saturday and a 3-game slate on Sunday. DraftKings is a business, a publicly traded one at that, and they have to keep churning and generating more income and all those sorts of things. And so therefore it's better for them not to have money locked up through a Saturday and a Sunday when they can have you play a slate on Saturday. And if those games fill on Saturday, keep running more and then pay you out on Saturday night and then have you re-register for more games on Sunday. So that's why they have 2 slates. They also have showdown slates for every 3 games because they're all island games because it is the playoffs. Indy Buffalo, the Rams against Seattle, Tampa Bay against Washington, 10:05 Pacific time, 1:40 Pacific time, 5:15 p.m. Pacific time on those 3 game starts. So it's going to be a very interesting weekend, and this is a pretty cool slate actually for a 3-game slate. So every game is those Saturday specials, or every slate is those Saturday specials or Thanksgiving slates, which we all love so much. And there's millionaire makers out there for it if you wanted to go after those, or if you're going to stick to the 3-max, single entry, however you want to get in, or if you're going to play the showdown games, however you want to get in, they have it for you for this weekend. So we're going to take a look at this slate. We're going to break down some of the plays that I like and why we like them and the decisions that we're going to make accordingly. Now, granted, this is basically a GPP slate. Yes, you can play cash games. Of course, you can play cash games, but we're going to break things down from a GPP perspective here. So we're going to have a little bit more stacking, a little bit more correlation for how we go about things. Now, the totals on these 3 games, Buffalo is favored by 6, and the total is 52 points. The Seattle Seahawks are favored by 4.5 over the Rams. I'll get to their quarterback situation in a bit. Total is only 43 in that one. And Tampa Bay favored by 8 over the Washington football team, who got in this last weekend for reasons that we will not discuss. But whether they were fair or not, who cares? Philly made business decisions to get themselves a higher draft pick. They did what they did. Total there is only 45. So probably going to focus a lot on this Indy Buffalo game. Thank you guys for being here all season long and into the playoffs. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. We also have plenty of NBA content Monday through Friday. Josh Lloyd is doing an NBA video if you're crossing over to playing NBA Daily Fantasy. And if you're playing for the first time, be sure that you go check out the How to Win on DraftKings NBA DFS playlist. There is a bunch of content there to help you transition, whether you need a refresher in Daily Fantasy NBA or whether you're brand new to it and want to really hit the ground running and come in with the knowledge that you're going to need to try and be successful as opposed to just going in blind. I would highly suggest you checking out that playlist. So thank you guys for being here. Let's get to the video. As you can see, the first thing is quarterback. I think there are 3 quarterbacks on this slate who stand out head and shoulders above the rest. There's only 6 of them, so take that for what it is. Josh Allen obviously is amazing, right? We know that he's got a 35 to 40 point ceiling anytime he takes the field because of his ability to throw for over 300 yards and the floor that he brings you with his legs and the ceiling that he brings you when they get close to the goal line if he was to run in a touchdown. 4 touchdown game through the air here. 4 touchdown game here with 2 of them coming on the ground. 3 touchdowns in week 17 against Miami before he got pulled. 20 fantasy points in only like a half of football is absurd in a game where they put up a 50 burger on that Miami defense that has been extremely tough and was in a must-win situation last week. So Josh Allen is my number 1 quarterback on the week for good reason. I think that there are 2 others that are in play. One of them being Tom Brady, if you wanted to come down a little bit in price to $6,900. Very nice price for Tom Brady, and coming off of 2 straight 4 touchdown games, 30 plus points on DraftKings. But as we've talked about before numerous times, quarterback is not a position where volume leads to scoring. It's a position where efficiency leads to scoring. And so when you're playing somebody like Tom Brady, let's call him a statue quarterback, a pocket quarterback, a 3-5-7 step drop back quarterback who's not going to add very much with his legs at all unless it's a half-yard sneak on which he is undefeated in his career. You're not going to get any points from him on the ground. So he has to throw for massive yards and has to throw for multiple touchdowns for him to pay off this very deserved but high salary price point at 6,900. So like you're looking not for 3x from your quarterbacks on DraftKings. You want to get 3.5 to 4x from your quarterbacks on DraftKings. He's averaging clearly just below that at about a 7K price point on the season. Though if he gets up to this 30-point range, we're going to get there. But he needs, as you can see, he needs to throw for 3+ touchdowns and get you the 300-yard bonus in order to get there. Now, I'm not saying he can't do that. He is one of my top 3 quarterbacks on the slate. The other one that's interesting, and I think that Jared Goff is not going to play this weekend. If Jared Goff plays, all bets on Wolford are off, of course. Now, this was a really ugly game last week. They only scored 7 points against Arizona. Or sorry, Arizona scored 7, but they scored 18 points against Arizona. He was not efficient once he got close to the goal line. And missed out on a lot of different touchdowns as a result. The Rams also have one of the highest run rates in the league. When they get inside the 5-yard line, get inside the red zone, they run the ball more than most other teams in the league. So guys like Wolford could lose touchdown opportunities, but he doesn't need as many. He's coming in at 2K cheaper, does give you a nice floor of rushing yards here. So if he connects on 1 touchdown, or if he runs 1 touchdown in, he already gets you to that point. And if you want to stuff in an extra position player, because the pricing is a little bit tight here, if you don't want to punt a wide receiver, there's only 1 tight end that's above 4K on the slate. Going down to Wolford does make sense. Obviously, there are other players. Now, somebody's going to jump in the comments and tell me, you're saying that Wolford is better than Russ Wilson? No. Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Wolford. But he's also 6,600. Going up against the Rams defense that is extremely tough, especially against opposing passers. You look at the 2 games that he played against them, he had 19.9 points. He had 12.92 points. Historically has not fared well the last 3 years against this Rams defense as well. Definitely has some offensive weapons that he can attack with in DK Metcalf, in Tyler Lockett. We've seen him go bonkers the first half of the year, and we saw him really dial it back, or that offense really dial back, or have regression come their way in the second half of the season. Based on price, I think that those are the better plays. Phillip Rivers, the other one at 5,400. I would rather play Wolford at 49 than Rivers at 54. It's entirely possible that Phillip Rivers, in the highest totaled game on the weekend, if they are chasing, surpasses 300 yards and has 2 touchdowns and outdoes Wolford. But for the price, I think there's as much probability of them having a very similar score within 2 or 3 points that I'll take the rushing upside of Wolford. But like I said, and as on the cover, I want the best quarterback with the highest ceiling, with the highest floor, in the highest total game, and favored in a situation where he does tend to be their best running back around the goal line as well. And I think that we can make it fit. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen here and move on to running back. Somebody that finished the year really well. I think he was the RB5 on the year after having a miserable first half of the season, when he was playing about 33% of the snaps, and people were afraid that he was Trent Richardson 2.0, and people thought that he was really, really bad and could not contribute in the passing game, and had no vision and could not see holes, and ran for 253 yards in week 17 and 150 in week 14. Now squares off against Buffalo, who has not been as tough as in previous years, in the middle of the field on the perimeter, where they've got Norman and they've got Tre'Davious White. They are difficult against pass catchers on the outside, but this offense is built around Jonathan Taylor's pounding behind this offensive line, as well as his big playability on handoffs and in the passing game. He caught basically everything that was thrown his way this year, catching 36 of 39 balls that were headed his direction. I think that he is the play at 7,900. And then you've got a bunch of value guys down in here. So we've got Gibson at 5,700, but going up against Tampa Bay, and running backs against Tampa Bay is not something that we have loved. And Gibson has struggled in pass protection this year, and if they get behind to Tampa Bay in this game, they're probably going to be going to McKissick more, but McKissick's volume isn't all that great either at 4,800. 8 targets, 10 targets, 10 targets. That's really valuable to us, but like absolutely no inside the 5 carries. This is a weird split where all the touchdown upside seemingly goes towards Gibson, and all of the game flow, game script type plays go towards McKissick, which gives kind of Gibson a better ceiling and McKissick a better floor, and eats into both of their fantasy values, but both are in play this weekend. But I would probably prefer to go with Cam Akers, even though he was a very inefficient runner against Arizona last week. Going up against Seattle, did have 25 touches coming off of injury in a week where we thought he was not going to play. Only rushed for 34 yards on 21 carries. That's gross. But since taking over the starting job, he has been a ridiculously high volume running back who gets all of the inside the 5 work on a team that does not throw the ball all that much inside the red zone and inside the 5-yard line. He's only 5,100. High floor, potentially high touchdown ceiling type play here. Thank you guys for the subs as well. And at 5,100, I believe that he is a little bit too cheap on this slate. I don't know that you're going to want to go with 3 running backs this weekend. You're probably going to pick 2 in this range here. Maybe somebody will dip down if something opens up due to injury or COVID or whatever. CARSON, just kind of meandering, you know. Ronald Jones Jr., I'm a fan, but like, you take these touchdowns away the last 2 weeks and he has what, 7.8 points and 9.4 points. It's none of them are thrilling. None of the running backs are thrilling. It's kind of a hold your nose, pick 2 running backs, probably a wide receiver in flex sort of week on this Saturday wildcard round. One play that I do want to have to pair with my quarterback is Steph Diggs, who has been an absolute monster, the American hero, really getting to show out wearing the red, white, and blue of the Buffalo Bills, just doing ridiculous work all season long. Yes, Indy has been a tough defense, but it's 3 games. We can't just say, well, everybody's in a tough matchup. It's the playoffs. They're all in a tough matchup. So we just have to play the best players that we can fit based on the price. And Steph Diggs is extremely solid. Also, John Brown, Smokey made his return, is only at 4,700. Downfield threat is going to be used on the majority of the snaps, I believe, this week. He didn't play the entire game last week, did catch a long touchdown. 4 targets, 4 receptions. Week 17, you kind of got to throw that out for the Bills as they just romped over Miami. But as a double stacked player, I think that this being the highest team total on the game or on the week on the slate and having a bring back play like Jonathan Taylor, I know that it seems upside down to say that, well, if you think they're going to win, then they're going to throw it a ton. It's only a 6-point spread, which means that Taylor should still get his 18 plus touches on the week. And if he is playing from behind and in there on passing situations, he'll get his 3 or 4 targets in this game, which only boosts his floor. And because he is one of the 3 best big splash running backs, Derrick Henry, Taylor, Nick Chubb, guys who can cash in on really long runs from scrimmage. And if you look at his game log here as well, 56-yard touchdown run in this game, 18, 14, 62, 20-yard reception, 39, 24. Not a lot of running backs that have a game-by-game breakdown like that as Taylor, who has big play upside and can do it for you on one play, even though at 7,900, he is pricey. Looking for a wide receiver that's a value to kind of plug things in here for us. We have Cam Sims on Washington. You want to go with PASCAL? I'm fine with that as well. They're all kind of a reach down in this range. PASCAL is cheap if he gets into the end zone. Josh Reynolds, if Cooper Kupp does not get cleared by the weekend, something we'll know before Saturday, is going to plug in and play the majority of the snaps, albeit this passing game is not as great as it was before, but at 3,600, there is less risk than there was before. Pittman Jr. has not really stepped into a high volume role at all, but Cam Sims has had more volume the last 3 weeks than any of the other players that are sub 4K. So at 3,900, in this spot against Tampa Bay, where, yeah, Tampa Bay's got a really good defense all around. You are probably going to have to pass in this situation, considering that they are 8-point dogs and project to play from behind. If they're playing from ahead, something happened, whether it's via Cam Sims or somebody else. I want to plug him in there. At tight end, this is what I said before. Logan Thomas led the league in terms of snaps played at tight end and routes run per dropbacks of his quarterback, which is something that to me is extremely predictive of tight end success on a week in, week out basis. Now, early in the season, it did not work out for us. That's why he became the redacted one, or at least red redacted. But when you get that sort of usage week after week after week, you will tend to see more targets because you can't score fantasy points when you're standing on a sideline, and you also can't score fantasy points when you're holding, when you're blocking somebody in the backfield, right? So you need to be out in the route. You have more possibility of catching a pass or getting targeted when you're actually running a route than when you're pass blocking. So I'm glad to see that that cashed in for us as the season progressed. But at 4,900, yeah, we can fit him. Of course we can on this week. If you wanted to go with him, that would leave us, let's just plug a defense in here and then find out our flex. We'd have 5,400 for a flex. But I want to have a little bit of correlation with the Washington players that I want to play, which means that I want to have some of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing game. And while Gronk is not a really high volume target, he is a downfield target, more so than most other tight ends have. They do want him to get vertical in this offense. He still has that as a part of his skill set, and one of the league leaders in terms of end zone targets at the tight end position. So 3,900 for Gronk leaves me with 6,400 for a flex. Again, Woods will get a lot of volume if Kupp is out, though Woods' volume should remain around the 20 to 25% range in terms of target percentage if Cooper Kupp is in. So he's got a really high floor with Cooper Kupp in, a much higher floor and ceiling if Cooper Kupp is out, although that offense will take a hit. If you wanted to go with Gibson here and leave a little money on the table or pay up for a different defense, I'm fine with that. Carson, as I said, has been kind of meh. If you think the running game is going to do it and not the passing game, you can go with Gronk and then pay up for a different tight end there. But one of my favorites all season long has been the F1, Terry McLaurin. He gets you like 7 catches like every single week, pretty much. Except for this little stretch in here where he did poor. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. I'm going to set the over-under on catches at 6.5 this week for Terry McLaurin. At 6,300, he's going to round out our first look. Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, Steph Diggs, John Brown, Cam Sims, Gronkowski, Terry McLaurin, and plug in whatever defense you want. It is not that hard to make a lineup this week that has an awful lot of volume, a good amount of correlation, and high ceiling plays abound. Good luck to you guys in the 3-gamer, and look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.